Okay, still me.
That's the issue.
Okay, so we asked. So we asked our we did this survey to shareholders, and there were open-ended questions as well as numerical questions. And the most popular question that people were asking is, what's the succession plan? Steve, what's your energy level? What are Steve's plans? All that, on and on and on, question after question, and that's been true. So our board of directors is, I've been kind of the stick in the mud in dealing with this, and the board of directors has really put me to the fire to address this. So, but we do have a particular view about succession planning. And our view is that the traditional way that it is done in organizations is way too narrow, way too limited, not adequate. The traditional way is just to view the third point here is developing and designating future leaders. That's what succession planning normally means in organizations. Our view is that's insufficient if the goal is to create ongoing success, ongoing sustainability, ongoing meeting the mission of Berrett-Koehler. We have to address other areas. So our succession planning is creating a sustainable capital structure, which we've been talking about, and institutionalize the organization's mission, values, commitments, systems, and distinctive practices. And I'll turn now to Marilyn, who's on our board of directors.
The board committee that was working on the succession planning was Matt McGraw, Steve, and myself. And the first thing we did was take a look at what the recent thoughts were and successful planning that has been done in other organizations, focusing specifically, or more importantly, on ones that have sustainable or mission value-oriented companies. And out of that, we decided that there's some principles that were important to keep in mind in this process. And I can't read this from here. One was that it is not a fixed plan. It is actually a process that needs to be put in place, and that it needs to be evolving and able to change over time as we work through this. The other is it's important to make sure that the mission is institutionalized. The success rates of some of the succession planning is really dependent and more difficult in companies where they're mission-oriented and the culture of the organization is extremely important in the planning process. That it was important to define what was unique, as has already been mentioned. It needed to focus on development of internal senior management talent, and again, that was another area from the research that seemed to be more critical on mission-oriented companies. That it needed to be an open and spirited process and encourage deliberation and debate. It needed to include multiple scenarios and planning for contingencies, and that we needed to make it as specific. It had to have goals. We needed to track the progress and measure the outcomes. So we created a framework document, which is actually in your packets, and it includes several sections. The first is the overview of the process itself, and establishes the checkpoints for review by the board of directors to make sure that we're on target. It includes a section on addressing the stock ownership issues, a section on the capital structure, those have been talked about already, the corporate structure, making sure that we're utilizing whatever options are available, considering the new legislation that's been passed on actual B corporations, taking a look at that. That it needs to include a section on board of directors succession, examining the roles and responsibilities, which you'll hear about, determining the skill sets that are required of board members to make sure that the board is contributing to ongoing success of BK, and the CEO succession to identify what the actual strengths and leadership skills are that Steve has been bringing to the organization and how those need to be set out as measurements and requirements for potential candidates, and that we need to take a look at the key staff in the succession planning as well, key staff positions. And at the recent board meeting, the board of directors also asked us to make sure that we were taking a look at the hit by the bus scenario so that we have specific planning in the event of emergencies. So we're adding that component. Not the bus, though. Not